This story is horrible, but misleading. Oh my goodness. So I came across this Times article reporting on this story. And the gist of this story was that this 13-year-old was a victim of the R word due to Republican policies, right? That she became pregnant, is going in, to 7th grade, and she tried to terminate the pregnancy, but wasn't able due to the overturning of Roe v. Wade. That was the gist of the article, and that's what a lot of reporters, a lot of pundits, a lot of people are reporting. The problem with that is that, yes, it's true, but it's also misleading because it's leaving out very important points of the story. Now, I wouldn't have known this had I not read the article, because how people are reporting on this is exactly how I said. Hey, Republicans bad due to, trying to getting rid of overturning Roe v. Wade. Now look what's going on. That's the narrative. That you had this girl who was playing out front on her yard. A stranger comes by, does the R word, and, she doesn't tell anyone. Now, as time goes on, the mother noticed a behavior change in the little girl because she would always love to go outside and play and be outside. Now, she would only stay in her room. She would never go outside. And eventually, she started showing symptoms, right? She would get sick. In some cases, she was vomiting. And so the mother got scared and was like, yo, we're going to go to the hospital and see what's going on with you. Now, having said that, the mother never told her about the birds and the bees because she was like, yo, you're too young to have this conversation, right? We're going to wait till you get older. We come to find out that upon going to the hospital, the doctor sees that she's in fact pregnant. I believe she was 10 or 11 weeks pregnant. And the mom is like, yo, how do we got to terminate this pregnancy. How do we go about it? And the doctor's like, the best solution you have is to go to Chicago. Now the mom is like, yo, I don't have the resources for Chicago, right? You'd have to pay for a ticket, pay for, a hotel, then pay for the procedure. Didn't have the resources for it. So what they ended up doing is what the article says, is what many girls end up doing, which is nothing. Now, if the story had ended there, that would have been night and day, okay? Night and day. I'd be like, yo, this is disgusting. This is horrible. How can anyone with an IQ above room temperature think that this is acceptable, think that this is humane to force someone through pregnancy, okay? Especially in this circumstance. I'm going off. I'm livid. But then I continue reading on. Now, what people are forgetting to mention or forgetting to highlight is that in the state of Mississippi, because this is where it took place, is that they make exceptions for terminating the pregnancy. One is due to, the R word, and the other one is due to save the mother's life. Now, what they bring up in the article is that, guess what? They didn't know that. The mother didn't know that information. Bruh, that changes the whole narrative, right? That changes everything. Now, the issue is not necessarily the overturning of Roe v. Wade or Republicans or anything like that. The issue is that, first off, the doctor didn't let them know. And secondly, the mother didn't know. So instead of doing nothing, I would think that if your child had been a victim of this, that you would have done some due diligence to figure out, yo, how do we make this happen? How do we do something about this? Instead of doing nothing. So what they go on to say in the article is that the process of getting this exception is not properly documented, right? It's in theory that you can get an exception if you're a victim of R or to save the mother's life. But it's not properly documented anywhere. There's no process of how to go about that in order to get this exemption. That would be more of an article that I would find interesting than trying to mislead people into thinking, oh, look at what's happening because of overturning Roe v. Wade. This, 7th grader was forced to have a child. That wasn't the case, okay? That wasn't the case at all. I think it would have been more interesting of an article if they had done a deep dive into that and the process of how to get this, exemption, in addition to covering the 2 exemptions that already been placed. Because they go on to say that, hey, there's only been 2 exemptions to allow for a termination of the pregnancy in Mississippi. There's only been 2. But they never go on to say, well, what were those 2 exemptions for? What was the context surrounding them? Was it similar to this? Was it different? How long did that process take for them to get those exemptions? Did they reach out to the people who got those exemptions? Is that information readily available? Can you ascertain that information? There were so many questions that just went unanswered. And the rest of the article is then talking about, mortality rates and birth rates in Mississippi and black women and yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, that's great, but that has nothing to do with the title of this article. That has nothing to do with it. You're misleading people into believing that this little girl was forced to go through with this pregnancy, which was not the case whatsoever. Now, I think, as I've said before, I think what they should have done was focus on the ambiguity of the process in order to get this exemption. But, I don't know how it can be that ambiguous if 2 people have already done it. There's some criticism that's possibly there, but they didn't do a good job of breaking down the facts and the evidence. That's the problem. It was just more of an editorialization piece, which then segued into something else. So really, at the end of the day, this was nothing more than a propaganda piece. Because I was reading it, and I was like, I got upset because I felt like I had been tricked. That's what it felt like to me. I can only imagine the people, which is the masses, who read the headlines and just go rah 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 rah. I took time out of my day to read about this, right? What's going on in Mississippi to this girl, and then they go and pull a bait and switch on me, talking about, well, she didn't know, so it wouldn't have changed anything. Well, yeah, it would have changed. It would have changed a lot if she was aware of this crucial information. So, yeah, bro, the news and everything is just trash right now. I say the best thing you can do is to turn off the TV. That's the best thing you can do. And to really actually read these articles. Don't pay attention to someone who, don't even pay attention to me, bruh, okay? Read the article for yourself. All right, that's what you should do. The article is readily available. You can type it in, read it for yourself, and come to your own conclusion. See if whether or not Times actually misled you into believing something that wasn't the case. And you then go on and check other videos because from what I've seen, everyone is leaving out that crucial information, and I think that's just misinformation. That's all that is. And in some cases, I would say it's disinformation. You're doing it purposely. Anyways, guys, that's the video. Let me know what you guys think. Whether or not it looks that's not the point. The point is Roe v. Wade was overturned. The point has to do with the mortality rate of black women in Mississippi. That's the point. Or if you have to believe, well, if that was the point, then that should have been the headline, okay? Not trying to pull at my heartstrings over this poor, little 13-year-old girl. That's emotional manipulation, which ends up backfiring once someone reads the article. Nevertheless, if you happen to disagree, you're more than welcome to call during disagreement days, which are typically held Friday through Sunday. There'll be a number on screen. You call in, we duke it out. Either or, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please feel free to like, share, comment, subscribe. Oh, that fun stuff. Till next time, guys, be amazing. That changes the whole narrative.